A private company controlling millions of people. Not a country, not a king, just a company. It came to India for trade and somehow stayed to rule. This is how Britain took over India and changed an entire region forever. Before the British, India wasn't weak. It wasn't waiting to be discovered or controlled. It was rich. In fact, one of the richest regions in the world. Indian textiles were in demand across continents. Trade was thriving. Cities were alive with wealth and culture. And over much of this land, the Mughal Empire still held power. For Europe, India wasn't just another place, it was an opportunity. In 1600, a company was created in Britain, the East India Company. Its goal was simple: trade. It set up trading posts along India's coasts with permission from local rulers. No armies, no conquest, just business. And for a long time, that's all it was. But slowly, something began to change. By the mid-1700s, the Mughal Empire was weakening. Power was fragmenting. Regional rulers were rising and competing, and the company noticed. It started building its own army, not just to protect trade, but to influence what came next. In 1757, everything changed. The Battle of Plassey. On one side, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal. On the other, the company's forces. But this wasn't just a battle. It was betrayal. Key allies turned against the Nawab, and within hours, it was over. The company had won. Not just land, but control over Bengal, one of the richest regions in India. This wasn't trade anymore. This was power. After Plassey, things moved fast. The company gained the right to collect taxes. Think about that for a moment. A company collecting revenue from millions of people. Wealth that once stayed within India was now being redirected. And that wealth funded more expansion. Over the next decades, the company expanded, not in one big invasion, but step by step. Wars, alliances, divisions. Indian states resisted, but rarely together. And slowly, control spread across the subcontinent. By 1857, tension had reached its limit. Indian soldiers turned against the company. What started as a rebellion quickly spread. Cities rose. Resistance grew. It became one of the largest uprisings against British rule. But the response was harsh. The rebellion was crushed, but nothing was the same after that. After 1857, the British government stepped in directly. The East India Company was gone. Now, India was ruled by the Crown. This was the beginning of the British Raj. Control became more formal, but the system stayed. Railways were built, systems were introduced, but they weren't neutral. They made administration easier and movement of resources faster. India became part of a much larger system, one that served imperial interests. But this period also saw some of the darkest chapters in India's history. In 1919, in Jallianwala Bagh, Amritsar, thousands had gathered peacefully. Without warning, British troops opened fire. Hundreds were killed. Many more were injured. The event shocked the entire nation. And then there were famines. The Bengal Famine of 1943 alone led to the deaths of millions. While multiple factors were involved, policies during British rule worsened the crisis. These were not just events, they left deep scars. But British rule did not go unchallenged. Resistance had been building for decades, and by the early 20th century, the demand was no longer for reform, it was for freedom. The Indian National Congress became one of the main political forces in that struggle. Leaders like Dadabhai Naoroji exposed how wealth was being drained from India. Bal Gangadhar Tilak pushed a stronger demand for self-rule. Then came Mahatma Gandhi. He transformed the movement, not through violence, but through mass participation, boycotts, civil disobedience, non-cooperation. The Salt March in 1930 became a powerful symbol, a protest against British control over something as basic as salt. Jawaharlal Nehru helped shape the political vision of an independent India. Muhammad Ali Jinnah emerged as a key leader, especially as political divisions deepened. And Bhagat Singh became a powerful symbol of resistance. His actions and sacrifice inspired a generation of Indians to challenge British rule. Subhas Chandra Bose took a different path, seeking to confront British power more directly. In 1942, Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, a clear message: British rule had to end. After World War II, Britain was weakened, and the pressure for independence could no longer be ignored. In 1947, British rule ended, but independence came with division. India and Pakistan were created, and later, Bangladesh. What started as trade had reshaped the destiny of millions, and its impact is still felt today. It didn't begin with war. It began with trade, and that changed everything. What do you think? Could something like this happen again in a different form? Subscribe to Historical Frontiers for more stories that shaped the world.